Well, alrighty. So Disney knows that they have a total disaster in their hand when it comes to Snow White and the Seven CGIs. That is the live action / animation movie that is coming out on the 21st of March. Now, we're getting so close. Tickets are finally out. We've been waiting for these tickets to be out, and Disney has been doing everything they possibly can to change the PR of this particular movie because they know that they have a PR nightmare in their hands. And just like I mentioned the last time we spoke about this, I done told you guys that Disney has been trying to hide the marketing of this movie. They've been marketing it by not marketing it, but the real thing that they've been trying to hide is actually Rachel Zegler. And I'll show you guys that it is actually Rachel Zegler because I done told you guys that she's the worst person they could have picked to actually play this movie, not only because she doesn't fit the bill in the sense that she's not totally white, but even at that, she's white in passing. It wouldn't have really mattered that much if she had just shut up her mouth. But this girl actually hates Snow White. She hates everything that Snow White stands for. She wants to change the entire storyline, make Snow White a feminist, make Snow White a girl boss, make Snow White a strong feminist character that nobody gives a rat's ass about because that's just not Snow White, the person that leads the charge and becomes a leader, rather than a more romantic and a more fairy tale style traditional woman that people love Snow White for. In any case, you guys, Disney is now starting to realize some of the things that we've been telling them for the longest of times and are now taking some panicky, evasive action. Just a couple of days ago, I think about 4 or 5 days ago now, we get this exclusive saying Disney won't be having a Snow White UK premiere in an attempt to avoid anti-woke backlash to the controversial adaptation. That's what they're trying to tell us, that it is because of anti-woke backlash. They're not trying to tell us that it is because of anti-Rachel Zegler backlash. It is more anti-Rachel Zegler in particular because even feminists do not like Rachel Zegler.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago. It's extremely dated.
I've got a feeling that this movie is going to flop so bad. Like, so hard, beyond imaginable. Now, I'm a feminist, so I think you can trust me with this opinion. We do not need remakes where original characters that aren't supposed to become leaders become feminist icons somehow. The whole thing with art and artistic expression is that there should be diverse characters. And when every female character has a feminist icon stamp on her, the whole movie industry becomes boring. It just becomes very predictable.
And that's the person that she's supposed to be pandering to this whole time. So this is actually what they want to do. They said, what would usually be a big Leicester Square event full of lights and camera for a £212 million live action remake of the 1937 cartoon film. At least these people are reporting on the honest cost production for this particular movie. £212 million is equivalent to $274 million, of which Deadline as well as Variety were under reporting recently telling us it was 240 million because they didn't want to make it sound like it's more expensive than Aladdin and The Lion King that made over $1 billion. So essentially they keep shooting themselves in the foot and the truth get revealed regardless. So this is what they plan to do. According to an insider, Disney are already anticipating an anti-woke backlash against Snow White and have reduced the media schedule to just a handful of tightly controlled press events. That is why they have taken the highly unusual step to not host a London premiere for the film and are minimizing the amount of press questions that Rachel Zegler gets. So essentially what they want to do is have a few journalists that they will control, because now it seems they are starting to realize something that we've been saying the longest time, that the press do not like the actors. They don't like the movies. They don't care about all those movies and all those things. All they want is headlines. And they want to rope actors into saying some of the most controversial things so that they can have headlines for their articles, for their own puff pieces, so that they can sell their puff pieces. Now Disney is starting to realize, and what are they doing? Not only have they done this in the UK, but they're doing it in America as well. As you know, Disney scales back Snow White Hollywood premiere amid Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot controversies, trying to make as if Gal Gadot is responsible for this movie having bad PR, as it were. They are really trying to actually shift a lot of attention away from Rachel Zegler, who is solely responsible for the problems that this particular movie is facing. So let's read a little bit about this, because this is even worse than what they are doing in England. The afternoon festivities will include a pre-party, according to them, and screening at the Capitan Theatre with titular character Rachel Zegler and Gadot. I don't know how those two will be in the same place at once. It will seem like they'll be talking like robots, pretty much like they did at the Oscars, where they didn't even speak to themselves. And, you know, Rachel Zegler was gnashing her teeth when, you know, Gal Gadot was speaking. So there is some tension there. Who plays the evil queen expected to attend? However, the red carpet will not include the dozens of media outlets usually invited by Disney to interview the cast and creatives at its premiere. Instead, coverage will be limited to photographers and a house crew, period. So no journalists, no press whatsoever. This is what Disney is trying to do to market this movie as much as they possibly can. It's just quite funny to me that they're now rushing and panicking because Disney, they've been acting like they care about this woke stuff. They've been putting all this woke stuff front and center into their movies. They've been trying to push this out there. Why? Because there was a vocal majority of wokesters that were talking on Twitter. They were talking a storm. And so Disney must have thought, oh, this is the direction that the world is going woke, so we'll make more money from wokeness. Whilst we were warning them that the true fans are not woke and they don't buy into this thing, they called us toxic for doing that. And funnily enough, their shills are still calling us toxic till date. Some toxic Disney fans question Snow White being played by Zegler when her casting was announced because she is a Latina actor, right? They are still saying that. And the person that wrote this article is this guy that started it all, that asked her the question that made her talk a storm. She will not be rescued by the prince. She's going to be dreaming of becoming the leader that she knows that she truly is. No, that's Joan of Arc. That's not Snow White. So this is Mark Malcolm. He's the guy that sparked all of this off, that is still calling fans toxic, even though Rachel Zegler is no longer calling fans toxic at this point in time, because Disney might have, you know, given her some memo and told her, nope, you got to find a way to win back the fans, because she came out to say this a couple of days ago, about a week ago now, saying Snow White star Rachel Zegler does a complete 180. Now says backlash against her casting was the result of fans' passion rather than misogyny. What an honor to be able to be a part of something that people are so passionate about. Now, of course, she's trying to pander to the fans because she thinks that it will work. She's stealing a page from Henry Cavill's book, and she thinks that because it worked for Henry Cavill and people love Henry Cavill, it will work for her. But here is the difference. Everybody knows that Henry Cavill loves the fans, is with the fans, is a fan himself, and empathizes with the fans on a consistent basis and stands with the fans more especially. And when Henry Cavill said that, it was a journalist that was actually trying to set him up against the fans by saying, oh, there are some toxic fans out there that do not like how you play Geralt of Rivia. They must be really few because people loved him as Geralt of Rivia. But, you know, the press wants him to rope himself. And Henry Cavill said to the press guy who was asking him that question that, no, you see, a lot of people who read the book or who read The Witcher, the book, have an idea of how they want him to play Geralt of Rivia, and he might not always play it the way that they want him to be. So they might complain and say, oh, you're not doing it well or whatever. And it's not that they're toxic, but that they're passionate. And people looked at that interview and loved him for it. And that's where Rachel Zegler is trying to get her way back to the fans from, which is just totally disingenuous at this particular point in time, because it is straight up pandering and it is absolutely fooling nobody. It's virtual signaling and no one's going to fall for that. And this is the problem with Disney from day one till date, is that Disney thinks that their fans are stupid, that we will fall for anything. But the long and short of the matter is that that is not the case, and hence why this movie is going to be dead on arrival, just like many of the other woke movies that Disney has been putting out there, and most of the other woke series that has been an absolute failure for Disney.